have a question. We're all going to be lucky enough, if we haven't already, to hear the Blitzstein and Lehrman version of it, and I would like to know from Maestro Coppola, what was your musical approach to Sacco and Vanzetti? Is it verismo, is it serial, and why did you take the musical approach you did to the material?
I wrote what I heard. In other words, I listened to the muse. I was inspired by the words that I wrote myself, and in the same way that Wagner wrote the music to his own dramas, the same way that Leon Cavallo wrote his Spagnacci to his own words. In other words, I followed the contour of the prosody was based upon the contour of the words themselves. And therefore, when the libretto was in Italian music, I suppose, occurred to me. When they were in the other area of their lives, the English-speaking, then music that was no longer Italian, but whatever, in my mind, seemed to be American music. But then again, I must confess that because of my profession, because I've been exposed to so much operatic literature, that I cannot deny the influences that were there. I mean, if something sounds Puccini-ish, well, why not? If something sounded Verdi-ish, why not? Or by the same token, Debussy, or even Britten, or even Wagner, whatever it was. As I said before, I wrote whatever I heard.
Bernstein actually had said this was a problem with his writing original music because he had a life immersed in conducting other music, and that it was very hard to push that from his brain.
How can you deny it?
That's right, so that, you know, every time he started work, he'd say, oh my God, sounds like
One of the great works of the 20th century starred Brenda Lewis and was conducted by Anton Coppola, and that was Lizzie Borden. And was that a piece that influenced you also, or not?
I suppose in a way, once again, my subconscious mind, maybe it did. I mean, I conducted the world premiere of Mice and Men. I think some of that must have.
I think we should mention these composers' names. The first was Jack Beeson, the second Carlisle Floyd. Give them a little.
Speaking of influences, did Wagner deny that he was influenced by von Weber? Of course not.
He denied Meyerbeer, though. That was very
But I would understand why he would deny Meyerbeer. I think everybody would deny.
I am not going to deny Leonard Bernstein. As a matter of fact, you will hear, if you listen closely, a quote 3 times in one of Sacco's arias in Act 2 from a work that was dedicated to Marc Blitzstein, written by Leonard Bernstein. It was Trouble in Tahiti. And it was the first Bernstein work that I conducted, and it was at that production of Marc Blitzstein's. I got the tune, The Harpies, and Leonard Bernstein's Trouble in Tahiti at Harvard. The Bernstein came up for that December 5th, 1970, and gave me his blessing to complete it first. So we're sort of returning it. And of course, Eric Gordon's book and many others have pointed out the enormous number of debts that Bernstein owed Blitzstein in terms of borrowing from his work. Well, you know the opening of Regina,
The opening of Regina is
right?
Maria.
Yeah.
It's Maria. I'm going to get
That's one obvious example, but there are many others.
Any other questions? Because I think yes, about it.
Mr. Coppola, is your work going to be produced, do you know, in the future, any theater, any opera theater that has...
Could you speak out?
I think the question is, will it be produced?
Well, is there any theater that has contacted you to
Oh,
stage it?
yeah. There's been quite a bit of excitement. You know, it's a little bit like the honey, the bees are now buzzing around the honey. Already Taormina in Sicily is thinking about producing it. Already various regional opera companies in America, I think, want very much to consider. The big problem, the question was asked about why it is that American operas are not often produced. I think you used the word courage. The courage on the part of the impresarios in America, because they don't have the wherewithal, they don't have the means to produce operas unless they are more or less the standard fare, because they must depend upon box office receipts. Whereas in Europe, as we know, many of the opera companies are subsidized by the government, so therefore the opera impresarios can afford to be more courageous. It's very likely that my opera will see more productions in Europe than they will in America.
I wanted to ask you something though. I read that there were a few opera companies that had rejected the opera for various reasons. Now, of course, Marc's company, Marc's opera had terrible problems at first because the National Federation of Music Clubs passed a resolution against it, saying it was un-American. There were 47,000 signatures or something against it. I mean, it was actually terribly scandalous and very discouraging for him, of course. Richard Flusser is here. Do you remember talking to him about that?
No, I don't.
No. You talked with him about the opera, but not about that.
Right.
We're talking about a political objection, is that what it is?
Well, there were political objections in 1960, 64. But what happened? I heard the Cleveland opera, for example, that rejected the Coppola SACCO AND VANZETTI. Was that a political?
No, we're not talking about that. We thought it was Cleveland opera. It wasn't, as it was then now, it's being very seriously considered.
Oh, okay.
But once again, a lot of the opera companies will tell me, Coppola, we'd love to do it, but you must understand, we already projected our programs 2 or 3 years in advance. And they have to do that when they engage everything. So therefore, it's unlikely that we'll see some productions of my opera before 2004.
On the other hand, be aware that next year is the 75th anniversary of the execution, the 25th anniversary of the exoneration. So next year really would be
Of
the
the
year.
exoneration?
Yes, Michael
Statement
Dukakis.
by Dukakis.
July what is it, 77?
77.
Where their names
And
were cleared of any guilt whatsoever.
that's right. And of course, if what we were saying, when I said in an article in the Forward that just appeared yesterday, is if we can't get it done by next year, then at least let's think about the Blitzstein Centennial of 2005. Maybe the White Barn would be a place to do a Blitzstein season. So many works in it.
Okay, I think we were told that we had 1 hour and we exceeded that. So unless there's one more very pressing question, I just invite you all to attend the performance for which you have a ticket.